How's it going today? Today I'm gonna change out the intake manifold on my 71. Now, I've gone all original. I have a MSD fuel injection system on there, which I really like, but I think it gives me a little trouble starting sometimes when it's hot. So by going with we're going with an Edelbrock air gap, and it'll plug off where the exhaust goes through the intake, so we're going to reduce the heat by a lot. And if I get a little bit better gas mileage, I'd be really happy with that too. You know, the mileage isn't too bad when you're just kind of idling around, but it's hard to do that when you've got lots of power. And I don't know if you can see, but this is I made a double scooper intake manifold. And I just built that, so if you're looking at it going, hey, where'd you get that from? I just welded on another scoop over on the other side, and it works awesome. First of all, I'm going to take her outside and give you a little bit of a tour of my truck, and then we'll kind of zoom in and start taking it apart. Now, I've washed it all up. Take your time, make sure you cover anything you don't want to get scratched, and it'll all go together. Alright, we'll see you in a bit. Truck tour. Alright, so I have a sweet little 71 Chevy 3/4 ton, and inside I'm running a 454, and I've replaced the carburetor with an MSD fuel injection system, which I love, but it's got I've used the original intake manifold, and I think it's causing some issues, so we are going to change that out. As you know, that's what this video is about. I thought I'd just give you a little tour of the truck first. Go to the back here. You can see in the back, built myself a little plywood box in the back so that I won't scratch my bottom, and on that I put a rack on my kayak. Inside, pretty well original. Put a different steering wheel in, and of course a track with Elvis Blue Hawaii in it. But I've also built myself a little console with another system in it, so I can do my Bluetooth and all that kind of stuff. So there, just a little bit of a tour. I love my truck. The thing just flies down the road, pulls my trailer well. Most of it's all original tin. Realistically, there's about 5 different trucks in here, but that's how it goes when you build an old classic. So we'll get started on the teardown. First things first, gotta drain out some of that antifreeze. Probably hear that. Take off the kick down for the transmission and all the wiring. Alright, time to remove the throttle body here. Put that in a safe place. Alright, I'm going to take off all the rad hoses now. Sometimes this is easy, sometimes it ain't. That wasn't so bad. Oh. Just removing the alternator bracket. It bolts onto the intake, so it's got to go. We don't want to have anything in the way when we're trying to put in our new one here. Alright, I'm nice and cozy here. Now, we got to pull a distributor. So I'm making a mental note where my timing is. And if I put the square on here, lay it flat, right on the edge of my transmission dipstick. Got that on camera, so I'm not going to forget it. Alright, let's pull the distributor. Before we pull the distributor, see we got a little bit of dirt down there, so I'm going to blow that off before I pull it out. Beauty. Just making a note where our distributor needs to go in at here. We're lining up with the middle bolt on the tappet cover. Looks good. We've got the all clear. Now it's time to Take all the bolts off the intake. And we'll pop her off. Alright, we got the last bolt out. Now let's see if we can wiggle this thing free. So I left the housing for the thermostat in. Of course my hammer handle doesn't fit in that one, so find something else. Yeah, it doesn't really fit either. There, just like that. Just put a screwdriver in there so I don't damage nothing. Okay, now we're just going to lift it out. Oh, that's heavy. Alright, now the fun part. We got to clean everything up. So before we do that, we're going to make sure we get lots of towels and everything on the inside so that it's all protected from the dust. That doesn't look too bad. I've got everything blocked off here. See, I got plastic that we can jam it into the little voids that are in underneath here, so we don't get any sanding dust in there. But these are all blocked off. Now I'm going to get a little bit of dust and stuff in here, but what I'll do is I'll use a vacuum instead of blowing it out. That way it doesn't blow it into the engine. Now all we have to do, take some sandpaper, clean her up. It's going to take a little while. Do a good job. Finishing it off with a little piece of scuff cloth here. That way I can feel anything or see anything. Just kind of gives it a little polish. And wipe her down with some spirits. Vacuum out those ports. And then make sure she's perfect. Looking good. Just wiping it down with a little spirits. In my shop that would be lacquer thinner. Just to get any little residual oil off it. She looks nice and clean. I think we're ready for a new intake. There's quite a bit of a difference here. Take off this gasket here. Now you can see that the way Chevy's built their, how it mounts, how the carburetor mounts on here, we got all this space in here, so in order to put on the fuel injection or a fancy carburetor, you got to put on an adapter plate. We don't have to do that on this one. And this one here is an air gap, so we're going to allow for some more, little easier airflow than this. Hopefully that'll help a bit. But the big thing for me is this exhaust crossover. It does not exist on this manifold. And so exhaust comes through, so it gets really quite warm here. Now the exhaust is there for the choke here, but we're going to eliminate that. Cooler air, cooler gas, more horsepower, and hopefully better fuel mileage. Let's hope she works. I'm excited. We're just going to glue the, just use some contact cement here. I'm going to glue the gasket kind of in the middle part here. So that it won't slip when we're putting our intake back on. Goes like that. Alright, once that's set up there, we'll put the gasket back on. Make sure we get it lined up good. Yep, it's good there. Press her into place. Just going to use a couple of short 3/8 bolts. Hold her until we are ready to go here. Just applying a little bit of silicone to the back side of this. It's a nice thing about having the bolts holding this in. We can bend this back a little bit. Now this is really good silicone. My brother says it's 30 bucks a tube. No time to skimp. We're going to put a bead on the outside as well. And then along here, there's no gasket. They recommend just a 1/4 inch bead all the way along here, so we'll do that. All right, I'll continue on here. Get this all done up. All right, now the manufacturer, we like to put a little bit of silicone on both sides, just where the water goes. So we're just going to put a little bead, and in here needs to be a 1/4 inch thick.
You can't miss no spots. Because if you missed one tiny little spot that's 1/8 inch and one that's 1/4, it won't work. You got to rub it off and start again. You got to get a little bit underneath that corner of that gasket in the back there. Put it right in there.
You need a better caulking gun. All right, we're rolling?
Yeah.
All right, time to take these bolts out. Now, whatever you want it, whatever you do, I had washers on this side. I decided to take them off on the other. We don't want to lose these washers down the engine, so be careful, careful. Yeah, glue is set up. It's holding well. Okay, do you want to hand me the intake?
Looks good.
Try and line her all up first before we drop it.
That corner over there, it's touching the.
Over here.
Yeah.
Alright, let's see if we can hit our bolt holes. I can see we're out just a little tiny bit. There we go. I think we have a success story here. Now we're just going to lightly tighten them up, starting at the center. Nope. There's one with the stud on it, right? Should be right there with all the bolts.
There it is.
Maybe we need to tighten them a little bit more. Just going even all the way around. We're still not hitting our 30 pounds. I'm just going to torque them down. You hear the little click? Yep. We've got everything all torqued up. Now, all those little spaces that were left after you cleaned up your heads, well, they need to get painted. So take your time, tape everything up nice and neat, and then we're gonna just give it a little shot of red orange. We got her all painted. Now it's time to do everything in reverse. So some of the plugs and all the fittings and all that stuff for your radiator hose and stuff like that, you're gonna have to take them off your old intake, but that's not a problem. And make sure that we put some Teflon tape and make sure everything's good and sealed. So let's watch everything go together and we'll hear her run soon, I hope. Just about to put this little radiator hose in from the pump to the intake. Just put a little bit of penetrating oil on there and help lube it up a little bit. That'll make your life a little easier. Alright, we're winding her down. Thermostat. A little bit of sealant on the threads. Alright, we got a little bit of an issue here with the alternator bracket. Right here I gotta just do a little bit of grinding so it fits up against the, I've got a stud coming out of the intake manifold, so I just need to grind a little bit of that off. So we better cover this up. Getting close, exciting times. Okay, moment of truth. Looks like I got everything hooked up. Well, that went well. Started right up, didn't need to do any tuning or anything like that. The only thing I'll probably have to do is adjust my kickdown for the transmission. I have a 700R in here, so you got to be right on the money with that. I think next thing we need to do is go for a test drive. Acceleration is a lot smoother. Whoa. Yeah, she runs a lot better. So I'm getting a lot smoother acceleration, and you can tell it's running better. And when it's running better, it's sounding better too. Go around a tight corner here. Oh yeah, that's pretty nice. Maybe a little bit too much power for an old guy like me, but I'm gonna get used to it. Very happy. Everything's better. Right off the bat, I'm way happy. This thing is running at least 10 to 15% better. Smoother acceleration. You know, I can drive around, I can put my hand and actually grab onto the throttle body itself and hardly feel any heat at all. That's exactly what I wanted. So I'm going to drive for a couple weeks, and then I'm going to give another update on the performance, and we'll go from there. So in a couple weeks we'll see you, and I'm just going to have fun driving my truck. So till then.